All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a new episode of Hey Listen. Listen, in this episode, I'm going to go to telling you my personal experience and how I went from having the worst year last year in all aspects of my area in my life to this year being the best year to date. So listen up if you like to learn how I did it and how you can do it too. So listen, that being said, in 2023, I went through a lot of mental, and I tell you, it was straight up mental and spiritual battles, right? Um, I went from having a semi good year to then things just kind of turning upside down. And you probably know what I mean, right? When things are going well and then just one thing after another, you start to happen and go out of bounds. That is what I experienced like last year in 2023. So I want to share a little bit about that experience because I believe there might be one or two people or you right now watching this, and you may be feeling that way. Maybe 2024 was not or has not been your best year to date. So let's talk about it. Let's get right into it. So let's start with last year. Last year, like I said, I went having a decent, semi good year to like midway, just kind of everything, just one bad thing after another, right? And when I say bad, bad is a matter of perspective, right? Nothing good or bad happens to you. What determines whether it's good or bad is how you handle it, right? So, what are the things that may have gone wrong last year? For example, when you own a business, you know something called churn, right? Where you have businesses or a book of business, right? Let's say you're a marketing agency, right? Like me, or a SaaS agency like myself, or you're an insurance agent like the majority of my clients, or you're a solar sales professional like some of my clients. And then one sale just don't go your way, or a client falls off, they end up canceling, whatever. Nothing is good or bad. Everything is always perfect. That's the one thing you have to understand. Everything is perfect the way it is. What determines whether it's good or whether it's bad, or whether that's going to give you fuel to push forward, or if it's going to give you basically oil brakes so you can stop. The only one that determines that is you, how you react to it, right? So, for example, you probably heard of the founder of Alibaba. Alibaba is kind of like Amazon in the United States, but this is from China, which, by the way, most of the stuff sold in Amazon is from AliExpress or Alibaba, which is basically a massive distributor for manufacturing companies in China, right? Which everything is made in China. Even if it says made in USA on the front, the label says made in China. So Jack May, the founder of Alibaba or AliExpress, right? Both of them are the same company. He said that he went to every single job possible, and every single one of them declined him, even from washing dishes. And most of it was because of his looks. I'll let you look it up. Jack May, founder of Alibaba, look it up, right? So he said after he felt devastated, he felt crushed for a while, he started finding solutions to problems. So he figured there's an opportunity like Amazon did to have products shipped out to other countries in a wholesale basis. So he became great, however he did it. I don't know how he did it, but he did it. And he started getting basically manufacturers, and he started selling at wholesale prices and getting a cut from his website called Alibaba.com. And then he started something called AliExpress.com, which is kind of it's a drop shipper for business. And you're like, John, why are you telling me all this? I'm telling you all this because this man, Jack May, M.A. is the last name. He went from being rejected by every single job, even low-ending job that don't require any skills. And most people would have given up. Most people would have gone into a depression. Most people would have said, screw this, and they would they would go do something completely wrong, right? And like today, we see a lot of homeless men and women in many cities. And it's because in their mind, they feel like there's no opportunity when that is a strictly a lie. And I'm over here, I'm fixing my headset because it's not aligned, but hey, whatever. Um, so most people would have just given up. But what did Jack May do? He found opportunities where people were not looking. And now Jack May is one of the richest men in China right now. And I believe he's about as rich, if not richer, than Elon Musk himself. So look it up. And what do I tell you this? Because last year, like I said, was one of my worst years. And it was mostly mental and it was mostly spiritual. Why? Okay, so I'll start by telling you the habits that got me to this situation, right? I was watching TV, and my wife could attest to this, my kids too. I was watching Netflix. I became a professional bench watcher in 2023. I watched so many series, man, I tell you. All right. And it would take me weeks sometimes, right? And I watch them all. I would find them and I would watch them. Why? Because I was basically hiding my stress and using TV as a distraction from my reality. Maybe this sounds familiar. Most people today's the day before Thanksgiving. Most people today are looking forward to tomorrow and Friday. Why? Because they're off from work. The majority of people, at least tomorrow. So they're looking for an escape to escape the crappy freaking reality that they have built for themselves. They're unhappy with the situation they're in right now. So they want to use this weekend to get hammered, to do drugs, to party, to gamble, and to do things that they think are going to help them, right? Which ultimately what they do is they self-destruct you. For example, in 2020, I went from having no year, I literally was non-existent almost in 2020 before the pandemic, to hiring a coach around March or April of 2020. My first coach I hired in 2020. The best decision I've ever made was to hire a coach that coach agencies like mine. I went from making about $4,500 a month. I was stuck there for 3 years. I started my agency in 2017, and into 2020, I had never made over $5,000 a month as a quote unquote agency owner. All right. And this man, Alex Schlinsky, shout out to you, Alex, for freaking doing what you did in my mind, because it was all mental. I already had the skill set. I already knew how to do it, but there was some infrastructure in the business, minor things that had to be adjusted. And this man readjusted me like a freaking chiropractor in a week. And in 45 days, I went from making $4,500 a month to crossing 10,000 for the first time in my freaking life. And I couldn't believe it. I never thought in my mind that it was even possible, because I went from a job that I was getting paid about $2,800 a month. I was making about 45,000 a year. And in my mind, I had a blockage, a mental blockage, right? Because I grew up with a mother that was working 3 jobs just to pay rent and put food on the table after she divorced from my father, right? So in my mind, there was mental blockage here the whole time. This young man and his coaching team, in a week, literally the first week when I went in there, I went inside that community. I saw guys making 50, 60, 120,000 bucks a month. And I said, what the freaking crap is going on here? In what planet have I been this entire time? I was hanging out with the wrong people. All right. And I wasn't hanging out with nobody. That was the first problem, right? Even though they say it's better to hang out alone than hang out with bad people, the wrong people. So I was hanging out with no people at all. All right. So that's the part right there where in 2020, my mind got unblocked. Then I started having the best year besides this year was 2020. I started making over $10,000 a month consistently from April all the way up to like November. But then something happened in November. For the first time, I experienced churn, right? Clients canceling, which in marketing, if you own a marketing company, you know that there is a percentage of churn, about 25 to 40% a month, right? Because most clients, well, depending on what type of client you get, most of them don't have the capital to sustain long term. So if they don't get a miracle in the first 4 weeks, they think like losers and they quit, right? Or they run out of cash or whatever it is. or they're afraid to spend the next money because the first money didn't give them results, which is a wrong mindset, by the way. If you're doing marketing, advertisement, or anything, that's the wrong mindset to get into. So what do I tell you all this to tell you that? Is that in 2020, my refuge when I was stressed, it was whiskey. I became a whisketarian. All right. I was drinking whiskey at home. I became a very social drinker. I would socialize with me, myself, and I in my office. Before sales calls, I would get almost hammered to the point where you're kind of like, you feel like you're cruising, you feel like chill, right? But then what would happen then? I thought, okay, so since I'm in so much stress, my business was growing extremely fast. There was so much movement going on. I didn't know how to handle it. So the first thing I said was, well, I know this thing, alcohol, right? So I did that. That was a massive, massive mistake. Why? Because when you drink alcohol and you get hammered, or you just put alcohol in your system, that will slow you down the next day and the next day and the next day. The next morning, I used to wake up literally from the bottom down, it was PJs. By the way, I still do that. But all right, maybe I wear shorts now because I come from the gym most of the time. But from the bottom up, I used to have a collar shirt, which I still do that to this day in all my meetings. I wear a collar shirt. Keep it simple, right? So that was my refuge in 2020. And I made the mistake. And at the end of 2020, when I got out of that one, I said, all right, it was the best year at the time before this year that I made the most amount of financial monies, right? But that was a great year financially only. Now, remember, there's different parts to life. There's a finance, there's a spiritual, there's the mental, right? And there's the relational. I was only winning in 2020 with the finance. Everything else, it was terrible. I wasn't even going to church, none of that, right? So that was mistake numero uno. Then 2022 was basically a year you just went by, very average year, just maintained. 2023 comes, and now I want to put gas on the pedal. But what happens now in 2023? I started keeping a normal, steady-ish business. By the way, if you're not growing, you're dying. Grant Cardoso always says this: if you're not growing, you are dying. A straight line means you are dead. When do you get a straight line? When you die, right? So a business that is streamlined, or an organization or anything that is just straight line, that means it's dead. You may think, oh yeah, I'm maintaining, I have a day job and I make just enough to get by and live paycheck to paycheck. Bro, listen, you are freaking dying. Because guess what? Every time that you want to go do something nice for your wife, or something nice for your kids, or something nice for yourself, you're stressing yourself out that you don't have the money, so you go use a credit card. And what's happening now? That's no longer a straight line. That is freaking massive decline, because now you're in debt. And that is how 85 or 95% of Americans live. They live paycheck to paycheck, and they live with credit cards to survive on, to buy things that they cannot afford. All right. How do I know this? Because this boy right here, all my credit cards, every single one of them, I maxed them out. Right. And I'm just finishing up, to be honest with you, I'm just finishing up getting out of like the last one or two that I have. Right. From mistakes that I made from 2019 all the way to 2023 financially. So I say all that to say this: if you're not having the best year ever, if you're a agency owner, a SaaS owner, a sales professional, if you're in a position where your income is not controlled, is not capped like a regular employee, like most regular employees, you guys are screwed. I'm going to tell you this right now. If you're an employee and you get paid hourly or a salary, you are screwed. Either way, salary or hourly, you are screwed. Why? Because you can work as hard as you want, as many hours as you want, and you're probably better off if you're hourly. They both suck. But you're probably better off if you're hourly, because now you get quote unquote overtime. And hopefully Trump passes this thing that he wants to pass, where overtime money is not going to be taxed. But you're still screwed, because now you're selling your time for a little bit of somebody else's money. All right. But if you are in a position where you can earn commission, all right, you want to make sure you're improving every single day. And you want to calculate this on an annual basis. How much did I make last year? How much did I make this year? And then narrow it down. How much did I make last month? How much did I make this month? How much did I make last quarter? How much can I make this quarter? Right? And you want to keep doing that balance. Because let's be real, every month is not going to be all like this. It's like the stock market. It goes up, it goes down, right? But I'm telling you all that to say this. I went from having my worst year in 2023 because I was not working on these areas that I'm going to tell you right now. So I'm going to tell you the things that helped me. and that in the groups I'm in, he's helped them. And those groups are hundreds of people worldwide. All right. So it's not something that you just work for John. It's only going to work for John because John is special, even though I am special. All right. I like to believe that. So listen, what helped me this year to have by far the best year I've had as an agency, as a person, as a son of God, etc. You name it. Number uno, first thing I did was I stumbled upon a mentor. I'm going to say it. It's the truth. I stumbled upon a mentor. I went from 2023, I had like 12, 14 panic attacks. I do not wish that on anybody. That was horrible. I thought I was going to freaking die every time. All right. And most of it happened at night because all the stress accumulated in my body and in my mind and in my spirit just came out all at night. And it was horrible. I do not wish that on anybody. And if you're having panic attacks, I'm going to give you a hack right now. When you feel like you're having panic attacks, get to the ground and do freaking burpees. Don't jump. Just get down, push up, burpee, push up, burpee. Do that like 100 times. By the time you're done with that, you're going to be out of breath. You're going to be breathing heavy. That panic attack is gone. The panic attack is going to panic and leave you. All right. So that's a big hack I learned this year. But listen, on top of that, what helped me was I stumbled upon a mentor. I prayed to God for a way out. And then I stumbled upon a mentor. All right. I started with something free that he offered. I did the free thing for like 2 weeks. I loved what I got for free for those 2 weeks. I said, can I pay something? And I started with a smaller thing that he was offering, right? A weekly coaching. And then I said, what's next? Right? And then I got the next thing that's a little bit more, right? And then I just started doing everything he said. I would get up at 5 a.m, right? Pray. I always pray before I go anywhere, right? At least I try. And I would go to the gym first thing in the morning. All right. I did that for over 90 days straight. And that reprogrammed me. All right. So exercise, move your body, right? Pray and exercise. Then when you come back from the gym, read something. Read a self-development book. Don't read no freaking Harry Potter. All right. None of that science fiction junk. All right. Unless you're trying to just be a science fiction junkie, right? You want to read something that's going to help you become better. How to think positively, how to have a better mindset, how to have better relationships, how to make friends and influence people, how to think and grow rich. Those are book names, by the way. All right. How to become better at what you're doing. If you're a sales professional, do you sell insurance? Do you sell advertising, software as a service? Well, there are books for that. Well, find those books and read them. Read at least 30 minutes minimum every single day. And if you're like me, I honestly 100% prefer to listen to books because I can listen to it while I'm working, or I could just take some time to listen to it. I can listen to it on my car. I can listen to it at the gym. I don't listen to music at the gym, right? Hardly ever do I listen to music. Always self-development. So those are hacks I'm telling you that took me from having the worst year last year, spiritually, physically, mentally, all right, emotionally, financially, every alley. All right. It was just horrible last year. I'm just being honest. And by the grace of God, so far this year has been the best year ever. And we're going to make the next year even better than this one. Right. So getting up at 5 a.m, pray, do what you got to do, go to the gym, read at least 30 minutes. Force yourself. It's going to feel unnatural. It's going to feel uncomfortable. All right. To do all those things. Do it. Force yourself to do it for at least 90 days. After that, you're pretty much programmed. When you don't do it, you're going to be like, crap, I'm having a crappy day. Something's not right. And it's probably because you haven't done one of those 3 things. All right. And then fourth, man, find you a mentor. Find you a mentor and pay them. Even if it's the last penny you have, pay it. Pay it, pay it, pay it. I cannot say that enough. Every time I've hired a mentor, which has only been, well, actually more than twice, but directly where I worked with them twice. And it's been the best things that I've ever done. I did it in 2020, best year ever back then. Did it again this year. So far, by far, this is the best year so far in my entire life. On all aspects, physically, spiritually, financially, and I think relational, right? And I also learned how to cut people off faster. All right. If you're not adding to my life and I'm not adding to yours, you got to go or I got to go. All right. But those are the things that I did to go from the worst year to the best year. And lastly, is working with a purpose, not working for money. This is the other thing I had to learn, and I'm still learning it, is don't do things for the money by itself. You want to do something to serve people. What problems can you solve for somebody in exchange for a little bit of their money? All right. We all got something that could get fixed by a little bit of money if somebody would do it for us. Like, for example, I don't cut my grass. I live in Florida. This sun in the summer, horrible, right? There's people that do it for X amounts. They're cheap, if you ask me. Just don't tell my guy that does it because he's going to probably want to charge me more. All right. But I would rather pay them. They will do a much better job and much more effective, way faster than I would. May take me 2-3 hours to do the freaking little yard we got, right? And it might take him 30 minutes. Pay them. All right. Same thing with other things around the house. If you could pay to solve it, just pay it. All right. Focus on the thing that you want to do, the thing that you enjoy doing, and don't do it just for the money. For example, I used to sell life insurance for 2.5 years. 3 years ago, I decided to no longer sell insurance. Why? Because I was only doing it for the money. Even though I believe in what life insurance does and how important it is and how everybody should have a life insurance policy, if they die today, their family is going to continue living their life financially because now they have tax-free money they can continue to live their life with. All right? Everybody should have one. But for me, I didn't like to sell it. So I stopped doing it. Right? I stopped doing it. And I started focusing back in the things that I like to do, that I enjoy to do. I actually look forward every day to do what I do, even when I'm stressed out, right? I look forward to doing it because I enjoy it. So you should be doing something that you enjoy. You should not feel like you're dragging your feet off your bed every morning. That is a sign that you do not like what you're doing or you're doing it wrong. That's another thing too. You might be in a great business, but if you're doing it wrong, you're just not going to make any money. All right. So listen, that is what I got for you today. I hope you take these notes and you apply them into your life. And I hope and pray that it works as well as it did for me. It worked for you and your family, right? Life is too short. Literally, you probably don't have 70 summers, 70 winters, 70 Christmases, right? Most people don't get to 70 years of age, all right? And if you're watching this right now, you're probably not a baby, all right? So you got way less than 70 years, 70 Christmas, all right? So let's go do the best that we can do with a purpose. Find a mentor that way is your shortcut, right? Like the disciples, the 12 disciples from the Bible, they wouldn't have been able to do what they did, which is to reach us with the gospel, had not been for Jesus. All right? That's just how it goes. If Jesus was not there to tell them and show them and live out what the disciples had to do, you and I would have been lined up to go straight to hell. All right. That's just how it goes. So why do I say get a mentor? Is the fastest route for you to get to your destination without doing the costly mistakes and going through the freaking troubles that you're going to experience in whatever business you're doing. Every business has challenges and every business has a solution out there. Somebody knows it. If you don't have the money to pay for a coach, go get some free books at the library and read them. It's going to cost you either time or it's going to cost you money. Or in most cases, it's going to cost you time and money. So listen, this has been another episode of Hey Listen. Let me know in the comments. Make sure that if you're watching this on YouTube or on social media, make sure you go to my YouTube channel and follow us there. All right. Follow us there because the YouTube channel is always going to be there. So follow us there so you're notified when I go live. And I'm going to do my best to bring guests in different business industry to share their experiences and what's working and what did not work for them that might be able to help you better your life and better your business. But hey, listen, thanks for watching. God bless you. Happy Thanksgiving for those guys watching live, and let's roll.